Coming up next on CPCC Snapshot, we're talking about CFP. Learn more about it coming up next. I'm David Rear. Welcome to CPCC Snapshot. Today we're going to focus on certified financial planning. We've got three great guests. Cindy Savage is our first guest. Cindy, welcome to our program.
Thank you, David.
For our viewers, just a little bit of an overview about the portfolio that you and your team are responsible for.
I'm in the Financial Services Institute at Central Piedmont, and we are actually under corporate and continuing education, housed out at the Harris campus. And my area is responsible for the financial services industry. We do pre-licensing and continuing education for mortgage, real estate, appraisal, insurance, the CFP program, which we're going to talk about today, and several areas of financial services.
Sort of part of that whole corporate learning experience with CPCC.
For professionals entering the financial services industry. We also do personal interest, personal finance type courses for consumers.
Tell us about our two guests here.
On my left is Greg Usted, and he is a CPA and a CFP and a part-time instructor with the college, both on the curriculum side and in the continuing ed side. Greg also has his own business. It's Greg Usted CPA, correct?
Correct.
And he teaches a lot of our accounting courses, both on curriculum and continuing ed, accounting for non-financial managers, some of those type of courses. And he teaches our tax program under the CFP program.
Okay.
And Bill McDonald is also with us today, and Bill is a certified financial planner as well, and he works for Ballantine Financial, correct?
Right.
Bill teaches our capstone course, which he can tell you about later today, in the financial program, as well as a lot of consumer courses. Again, he teaches retirement planning, and he's developing a course right now on Social Security, understanding Social Security, and Medicare, and types of classes like that.
Guys, welcome to our program.
Thank you. Thank you.
Greg, let me talk to you a little bit about just sort of how you got into this particular field and helping us better understand sort of the portfolio that Cindy has described. A little bit of background about you, why you love the field, why you find it intriguing.
Okay. Well, years ago I started with the Certified Public Accounting credential and started with CPA, worked in public accounting, and around that time became interested in becoming more well-rounded and learned about the Certified Financial Planner credential. And I just went from there, and years later took the exam, challenged the exam, got certified, and then found out that Cindy's group needed an instructor in her program, and that's how it all started.
Okay. Bill, how about you?
Believe it or not, I got into this business through the television industry. My first job out of college, I worked for an outfit called the Financial News Network in New York City, and I found myself covering people in the financial field, and I remember thinking to myself, I don't want to be on this side of the camera, I want to do what they do. And when I wound up relocating to the South, I eventually got into financial planning and realized very quickly that there's a gigantic, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but there's a gigantic credibility gap. It takes very little in today's world to hang your shingle out and call yourself a financial planner. And in order to differentiate oneself from that, I went through the program and got my certified financial planner and eventually became an instructor in this program.
Cindy, let's talk some about the program itself, the goals of the program, sort of the folks that you think typically kind of make their way into trying to pursue this.
Okay. The Certified Financial Planner at CPCC is a certificate program. Many schools will offer a program through a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. And we are approved by the Board of Standards, Inc. to offer ours as a certificate program. It's a very rigorous program. It's comprised of 7 different courses, all aspects of financial planning, insurance, tax, estate planning, retirement planning, those modules. And it takes about 1 year to complete. And we do our program in 1 year. And again, it could be tied in with a master's degree that you're working on at the same time. It's actually graduate level work, so it is very rigorous. And our program, we complete it in 1 year, and we meet 2 nights a week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we have about a week between courses every time a new one starts.
And as an instructor, Greg, what is it your hope, first the folks that would want to pursue this, and the kind of takeaways that you're hoping that they'll experience in that academic corporate setting?
Well, I guess my main hope is that they become good planners and they can take it to the next level. I come from a tax background, and taxation really begins with compliance, but when you go beyond that, you get involved in tax research and tax planning. And I think all the other instructors would agree that if our students can take it to the next level and think critically about planning ahead for their client's financial future, then that's a great thing.
Bill?
If I could accomplish one thing, most folks that get into this industry, the training they receive from their employers tends to be product focused. How to sell XYZ stock or ABC mutual fund. Since I get them in their final class, sort of how it all ties together, if I could accomplish just one thing with each student as they come through, I'd like to turn their focus from starting with a product and into more of a client-centric model, where they spend the time and get to know the people they're trying to serve, and then they prescribe the solutions for the specific issues the people have.
And one of the things, I guess, even going back, and I'll use me as an example, the importance of the client being able to know what it is that they're trying to plan for, and being able to do that in advance. So when they come to people that are trained, certified, good housekeeping, seal of approval, all of that, that y'all can be most helpful to someone like myself. So talk a little bit about the students and the kinds of students that might do well in this kind of
Right. I would say our
rigorous work.
students come from all walks of life. One of the requirements is, there's actually 4 requirements to getting your CFP designation, and they call them the 4 E's. The first one is education, and that requires a bachelor's degree plus either a master's or a graduate program, or an undergraduate program with a CFP attached to it, or a certificate program such as ours, plus the bachelor's degree. So our students, some might be teachers who have been displaced, from CMS. Some are in the financial services industry working in a bank. They come from all different areas, so that's why the curriculum is so important, to kind of give them that well-rounded aspect of each of the requirements of the financial plan.
Yeah, and given that wide background for Greg and Bill, I guess the program and the coursework is the kind of coursework that they could apply to anybody who wants to enter the field, but they got to be serious about what they're trying to get into.
Absolutely. It is rigorous, and they have to be dedicated, but it's very useful information. It's a great credential, and we see a lot of students from the banking industries, insurance, investment, even employee benefits, accounting, and law, and it's just very valuable for them, and they take a lot back with them to their employers.
Yeah. Bill, I want to go back to something you raised, sort of being able to differentiate between all of those folks that may be out in the financial planning arena, and as sort of a consumer, an individual, how I'm able to discern and know, because I don't have the background and I haven't gone through all the coursework to be able to make a good informed decision.
Well, if somebody's watching this and has those questions, I would first direct them to CFP Board's website, cfp.net, has a planner search function, and you can search for planners within X number of miles from your home or your work, whichever you prefer. Once you go through that, I would recommend for you or anybody else, go talk to somebody. There is a broad array, even amongst the folks that are allowed to call themselves certified financial planners, of approaches to planning. Some people are much more, I don't want to say controlling, but they say, trust me, I will manage these accounts for you.
Right.
And others are more, it's your money, my job is to help you make good decisions. And those various styles, in my opinion, make or break that relationship. And it's really about finding somebody you like, and most importantly, that you trust. Because they're, hopefully going to be your financial partner as you move through your life and into your retirement, hopefully.
Yeah. Greg, you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. It's seen increasingly as the gold standard out there. Anyone can say they're in the financial services industry, that they're a planner or a consultant, but certified financial planner is the gold standard, and it means they have integrity, they have a skill set, and they are going to be a fiduciary for the client. Look out for the client's best interest for the long run, okay? Long-term relationship.
In television, we have all sorts of television terms, and I know in your business y'all probably have those too. Tell me what the Board of Standards, Inc. is.
The Board of Standards is the certifying organization. They're located in Washington, D.C. They were actually started in 1985 for the public interest. That's the reason it kind of all came about. They're the ones who actually issued the designation CFP with the little copyright after it. And again, they have the 4 requirements, the education, they call them the 4 E's,
Yep.
Education, experience, the exam, the CFP exam, and the last one is ethics, which Greg talked about. And they have to meet all 4 of those requirements before they can actually put the designation next to their name.
And there's testing associated with meeting the 4 E's?
Absolutely,
The exam.
absolutely. The exam is the big one, and it consists of a 10-hour exam, takes place over 2 days, and it's offered 3 times a year, I believe. And so the students in our program are basically learning the foundation for everything that's covered in the exam, and most of them will go on to do a big review before they take that exam.
This is a question based on the private sector, and I recognize you're both involved from the instruction side with the college, but why is it important for a place like CPCC to be able to offer this kind of instruction to this region?
I would say it's very important, and it's becoming increasingly important after all we've been through with the financial meltdown. Folks are out there, and the joke was their 401k turned into a 201k. Oftentimes their current advisor or whoever they were working with just didn't walk with them through that experience, sort of left them out there, stopped answering his phone calls. I believe that if they follow the procedure I mentioned before and sort of fish in the pool of certified financial planners, that they'll be more ethical people. They're serious about the business because they paid an enormous, I don't mean a dollar price, but an enormous price in studying and to satisfy
Sweat equity.
Yeah, and also you asked earlier about the board themselves. Once a planner is allowed to use or becomes a certified financial planner, they monitor us pretty darn closely. And if you sort of stray from the path a little bit, we see examples all the time. We get emails and things of that nature of people who sort of push the boundaries ethically a little bit, and they've actually either been suspended or revoked over time, so they're not able to be on that search site or call themselves certified financial planners.
And David, I myself am not a certified financial planner, but I always tell our students as a consumer, I would not hire anyone who was not a CFP. I mean, that's just my personal belief. I believe in the program that much.
Yeah, and we shot some footage in I guess what would have been a typical class setting. Is each class specific to subject, or are you trying to build on each class to the next class, or how kind of the mechanics of
It's
it?
really based on the CFP and what the Board of Standards dictates. It's an integrated approach, or what they call the big picture approach, right? So the modules are set up so that they cover the different aspects of the financial plan. Again, they're fundamentals of financial planning, insurance, tax,
Right.
the different modules. And the reason that they do this is because the basis behind the CFP is that if something happens to you in your personal life, or you lose your job, or you lose a spouse, or something like that, all these aspects are affected. You can't look at one without the other. And that's really the basis of the CFP.
Yeah, this is a broad question, may not have application, but my sense is as we continue to be able to mature or grow older, that population continues to grow and expand.
Increases.
Increases. And my guess would be an even more important reason to have folks like yourself as that population continues to grow. Is that a fair analysis of kind of where the market's going?
Oh, sure. And you have to remember, too, that this area, certified financial planning, is relatively young when compared to other fields like medicine, law, accounting. And I believe that the consumers are catching on. They know that they're going to live longer. population is increasing, and there are valuable services, again, to be had.
And why do you think it has kind of become that next emerging industry or area? Is it increasing population, or what?
Well, I think Americans are now more responsible for their financial plan, where in the past it used to be, you know, a pension and everything was guaranteed and you worked for the same company for years, but that's totally changing. I mean, now we jump from company to company, and you know, we need somebody to kind of bring it all together, in my mind.
You mentioned the demographics. I actually made the decision to specialize my practice in pre-retirement, and now I need this income for the rest of my life. Recognizing exactly what you said, these folks are, you know, the beginning of the baby boomer sort of bulge in our population,
Right.
are moving into that stage, and unlike the previous generation, the World War II generation, they weren't as good savers, perhaps, is a fair way to say it. And you know, if there are to indeed hang up their stethoscope or whatever they do for a living at 65 and live a, you know, normal lifespan, you've got 20, 25, sometimes 30 years where what they've saved has to, you know, replace their paycheck, and that's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, and when you reference pre-retirement, do you put a demographic on that? I mean, in terms of, or I've got a son 25, I've got a daughter 22. Son recently married a year ago, daughter going to be married, you know, summer of 2012.
Well, I think it's fair to say that they are definitely pre-retirement. And, you know,
Right.
my 12-year-old son is pre-retirement.
Right, but I didn't know if that was 40 or 45 or 35.
In my mind, it begins at about age 50.
Okay.
A lot of times, 30 and 40-year-olds are so involved, rightly so, in raising their families, making sure they can pay for college, making sure they can pay for weddings. I know I'm in that stage now. My oldest is 18. Typically, once they have fulfilled those obligations, wonderful obligations that they have to their kids, their minds turn to, well, now I'm in the home stretch and I really need to begin putting it away, and I really
Empty
need
nesting,
to know. Yeah.
some of that, and all of those choices, you know, in terms of paying for college, and I mean, you've invested, but you've invested in a way that it doesn't necessarily line up on the portfolio financially, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Yeah, Greg, thought about that just in terms of that sort of pre-retirement conversation? And
Oh, absolutely. It's very important. And then again, it can be a comprehensive, well-rounded approach, or it could just be one specific aspect, like you speak of retirement or pre-retirement. But as Bill mentioned, just about anything is fair game. If it's education planning, planning for a wedding, tax planning for the upcoming year, or thinking about estate planning if consumers or clients are in that situation.
Cindy, what makes this particular program unique or different from competitors that might be out there?
That's a good question. Actually, our program is set up on a pay-as-you-go, register and pay-as-you-go. We have each of our classes separate, and they can start the program at any time. Some of our competitors out there will have a program, a certificate program such as ours, but they pay up front for all the courses. And that's a big commitment, because you might get into the program and you might say, this is not for me, I don't want to do this type of work. You know, and that's, you're out the money from all 7 courses. So we like ours to be individual. They can register anytime, so we have folks starting into the program, you know, on the tax module, and then ending up a year later on right before the tax module, and some start at the beginning. We usually only recommend that they start with our intro course, Fundamentals of Financial Planning, if they don't have a good, strong financial background.
And when you say don't have a good, strong financial background, meaning what?
That they're not coming out of the financial services industry, or they don't have experience on the financial calculator, those types of things. Maybe if they were a teacher or something in their prior profession. But usually they can pretty much join in at any level. And that's the beauty, I think, of our program.
Yeah, and the ability, because you may not know till you get in there in terms of what you thought it was going to be or expectations. So how do you sort of assess about jumping in? Just if it kind of appeals to you, or you think you might be an interest to try to start that?
Well, I think Bill made a good point when he said to check out the website, Certified Financial Planner Board of Standards.
That's right.
And find out more information about whether or not it might be right for you.
Right, about the field.
Yeah, the field in general. And then, of course, if you get into it and realize that it's not for you, the worst case is that you've hopefully learned a little more about the field and can use that for your own personal benefit.
And this is for any of the panel. What about career opportunities? You talked about it sort of a young, emerging field, but what are some of the opportunities that might be out there, just generally speaking?
It's pretty wide-ranging. There are folks with their certified financial planner who we think of certified financial planners, and our conversation has followed this, as individuals who counsel families. But there are people with their certified financial planner who work at big banks, big brokerage houses, big investment firms. There are folks that, like you, who are really on the tax side and just want to expand their understanding so that when they're making recommendations on their specific area of expertise, that they don't cloud the other issues. Gosh, I had a student come through my class. Believe it or not, he was not interested in becoming a certified financial planner. You know why he took it? He said, I want to understand this stuff so I can make sure that my advisor isn't giving me the runaround. I found that terribly interesting.
Yeah. Cindy, we've got about 3 minutes left. Let's close out. If people have been piqued by interest, learned something they may not have known about this area, for more information, where do we need to go?
Two things. Greg mentioned the CFP board website. That's a good start. It's cfp.net. Also, our website in financial services, if you go to the CPCC website, www.cpcc.edu, and in the search put in CFP, it will come up with the Financial Services Institute, and they'll see all the programs that we offer. But we've got brochures on there. We've got frequently asked questions, things like that would direct them in the right way. And they're always welcome to come to our department and visit with us and learn more about it. And we're also having an information session in April 26th. And that's a chance for students who are interested in the program to come and meet the faculty and learn more about it.
Good. Final thought from you guys?
I feel very blessed to be part of this organization and to be reporting up to somebody like Cindy. She really understands that this, this is a part-time gig for folks like us,
Sure.
but puts us in a position where we can do some good and help some people and hopefully create more of a profession rather than something you happened into after college.
Yeah. Greg, final thought?
I would agree. It's great being a part of this, and it's very rewarding to see students go on and enhance their careers in financial services.
Yeah.
And can I add one quick thing?
Sure.
We are one of just a handful of community colleges in the country who have been approved to do this.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good for CPCC.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to thank you for what you do, not only today for the program, but just what you do every day to help people be aware of their finances and how they should move forward and plan and get ready if they need to for that pre-retirement conversation, which I'll probably have a conversation about that once I get home tonight.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thanks for the chance to chat about this important subject. We hope this subject has been important and you've learned something from that. There's obviously information out there that we hope you'll take advantage of here at Central Piedmont Community College. For the crew at CPCC Television, I'm David Rue. Thanks for watching. Good night.